It is the year 2026. A historic heatwave is hitting mainland Europe and your friends have been missing for months. You're worried for their lives, wondering what terrible fate might have befallen them. You have their faces printed on milk cartons to no avail, as they are nowhere to be found. One day, you happen upon one of their recent Twitter posts, and you finally understand. You find out they've all retreated into solitude, living as hermits in the mountains, dedicating their lives to mastering the ways of Warframe, whatever that is. You think to yourself, maybe if I play Warframe 2, I will get to see my friends again. You decide to give it a shot, not knowing the curse you've doomed yourself to bear. You boot up the game for the first time and are presented with a moment of your awakening. You're asked to make a choice that will determine your gameplay experience for possibly hundreds of hours to come. You make your choice swiftly. You have elected to awaken as the electric current warrior Vault. Congratulations! You have made the correct decision since everything else is clearly suboptimal and sucks. And now, before the Excalibur fans find out where I live, let's get you familiarized with the shiny new frame you will be spending untold hours of grinding with. Welcome to the Nincom Poop's Guide to Warframe.
Gotta go! To my destiny. Baby, feel a feeling that's far tonight. Gotta go! Living my history. Come along, baby, one. Gotta go! Gotta go!
Our good boy Vault here was one of the first Warframes ever released, as he was introduced in tandem with the game's closed beta on October 25th, 2012. This makes him one of the originals, along with Trinity, Rhino, Mag, Loki, Excalibur, Ember, and Ash. Among all of them, Vault stands out as the golden boy. Not literally, I mean he's quite pale, but metaphorically speaking he's very strong. Clearly, a frame of such power and ferocity is the obvious best choice among all of the initial options available to players. This was to Vault's detriment, however, as he ended up being too powerful for the feeble minds at Digital Extremes to comprehend. So he was banished to the Shadow Realm to be replaced by the telekinetic sorceress Mag for a more varied choice of starter frames. So for me, Vault was not available as I started playing the game, so I opted for Loki instead. Thanks, great, appreciate being good at 10% of the content, thank you. Fortunately, you will not have to repeat my mistake as Vault has been made available again, replacing Loki in the starter frame lineup. So of course, if we're talking about the best way to acquire yourself your very own Vault, then picking him up as your starter is the easiest option. But in case you have already made yourself a positively silly decision, fear not, for there are other avenues of acquisition available to you still. You may, for instance, purchase Vault blueprints as one of the rewards available in Warframe's own PvP mode. One round of the Conclave will reward you with anywhere between 1,500 and 3,000 points, which you may transform into spectacular rewards. That is a mere 40 games of PvP, and yes, I agree, that is insane. Why am I even giving you the option? If you have the slightest amount of social ability, there is, however, another option that is much easier. The blueprints for Vault may also be acquired from the Tenno Lab, which is accessible in your clan dojo. If you don't have a clan, well, it's time to go out there and join a clan. Why aren't you in one yet? Don't you like being loosely acquainted with hundreds of strangers? What's wrong with you? Literally just drop a message in the global chat. You'll be part of one in literally 5 seconds. After your clan membership is confirmed, you will be able to purchase your Vault blueprints for the low price of 35,000 credits total. That is, if your clan has unlocked the Vault blueprints. Yes, actually, you may not want to join a freshly founded clan, I should have mentioned that. Once all blueprints are acquired, you can finally add your very own Vault to your arsenal. After depositing an additional investment of 70,000 credits, 800 rubido, 1000 ferrite, 500 salvage, 220 plastids, 150 polymer bundles, 1 morphix, 1 neurosensor, and 1 Orokin cell into your foundry, of course. Which, all things considered, is still a very low price to pay. Looking at you, Vauban Prime. If you hadn't already acquired him before I told you how, congratulations, you are now the proud owner of a brand new Vault. A cheap, albeit highly versatile frame that can be built to fit many situations and stay strong throughout the entire Warframe experience. Vault can become an ability-casting nuke monster, speed-running even steel path missions with ease with the correct setup. a melee-focused red crit tornado that slices and dices opponents at breakneck speeds, leaving nothing but a fine red dust in his wake. He can be a utility-focused team player, providing the entire squad with valuable damage buffs, speed buffs, and near infinite shields. Or, if you have more specific requirements, he can be built to be the bane of the plains of Eidolon, taking down gigantic opponents with ease. In general, as if the name wasn't enough of an indication already, your gameplay will be centered around your plentiful sources of electric damage, movement speed, and the ability to stun enemies. A playstyle that stays cheap for the most part, as a majority of builds you find floating around will opt to not subsume any of Volt's abilities. Sometimes appropriate augmentation mods are required to make them mesh in the way that you want to, but in general, all of them have their respective use. All of the augment mods for Volt can be acquired from the Syndicate's Red Veil and Arbiters of Hexes for 25,000 standing each. Volt's passive ability, Static Discharge, slowly builds up an electric charge over time as you move a certain distance. The charge built this way will be added to the next ability cast or weapon attack and then reset to 0. Volt stores 10 points of electricity damage for every meter traveled, up to a maximum of 1000 damage. This is best utilized as part of a highly mobile ability casting build in tandem with a low fire rate, high burst damage weapons arsenal. His first active ability, Shock, releases an electric projectile that deals electric damage, stuns an inflicted enemy, and arcs to other nearby targets. This effect may chain to up to 5 targets in range that are up to 15 meters apart in its base form. It's an ability you're likely not going to be using overly much, as it has low nuke potential and doesn't actually hit a lot of things, all things considered, when you're consistently surrounded by a small country's military worth of bodies. Instead, its greatest potential lies in how it is transformed when combined with the Shock Trooper augmentation mod, because now Shock becomes a party buff that adds electricity damage to all attacks originating from you or your squad members. Speed is an ability which, I don't know, does exactly what it says. It makes both you and your allies run faster. I feel like there may be a recurring theme here with early Warframes and explicit ability names. More speed also means you'll need less time to travel the same distance. That's how the math works, right? Which synergizes well with your passive ability, as it now generates more charge for you as you continuously travel faster. It's also great when there's a Gauss in your party and you'd like to assist them in breaking the sound barrier. Electric Shield is, again, pretty much what it says on the label. It's a big-ass shield. Not only does this layer of solidified electricity, wait, how does that work? Protect you from incoming projectiles, it also imbues your own projectiles with additional electric damage as they travel through the shield membrane. Up to 6 shields can be deployed at the same time, which are stationary upon creation. You may, however, pick one of them and carry it around as you speed slide your way through a stage at ludicrous velocities. With the augmentation mod Transistor Shield, even your squad mates may benefit from a personal electric riot shield. Okay, I need you to pay attention, this is the big one. Volt's entire kit is great, but this is perhaps the one ability that makes him such a force to be reckoned with. Discharge is a powerful electric pulse that hits anything in a 20-meter radius, and additionally any enemy within 8 meters of the initial target's hit. Unfortunate combatants assailed by this electric current are both damaged and stunned for 3 seconds at base capability. Now, you may think to yourself, isn't that the same as Shock? And you would be right, but you are unaware of the fundamental difference that makes Discharge way better than its close cousin. For you see, the electricity keeps jumping to additional targets in range until all possible targets are affected. This does not require line of sight, penetrates environmental barriers, and generally neither fears God nor devils. Meaning that with the press of one button, you can stun every enemy on the battlefield, which is an insane amount of crowd control naturally. Naturally, to achieve this effect, Volt is typically outfitted with copious range-increasing mods such as any Stretch variants, Overextend, Augur Reach, or Cunning Grift. But wait, there's more! The Augment mod capacitance will also convert 3% of the damage you deal with discharge into shield that's distributed between you and your squad mates. Not only do you deal a ton of damage and stun everything that breathes, you also generate thousands of shield for both yourself and your entire party. Offense, utility, survivability, this ability alone can do it all. If there's one reason to play Vault, it's gotta be this. What you will find in terms of builds around this set of abilities generally falls into one of three categories. The speedrunning nuke build that focuses on taking out swaths of enemies with discharge, taking advantage of copious amounts of ability strength increasing mods and Archon shards. Which is great and it works, but honestly there's other Warframes that are better suited for this playstyle, and it's not where Vault really shines. The Eidolon Hunter, specialized in taking down the giants roaming the plains of Eidolon for delicious loot. This one's intended to do one thing and one thing only, and though it can be played in other contexts, I wouldn't recommend going down this route if you've just started playing. What I believe makes Vault so strong are actually his augment mods that turn him into an amazing party utility frame that can deal with pretty much any type of content. All things considered, it's also fairly cheap to make, only requiring a couple of formats to make it work. Here's what I'm using right now. I'm not a Warframe god, and most of this is honestly taken from what's available online, but it does just work. You stun everything, you go fast as hell, and you pretty much never die as long as you have enough energy, which Equilibrium alone should cover fairly well. As long as you're not specifically going for spy missions or bosses, it's an all-around great build, and even if you encounter a boss, as long as you're in a squad, everyone else benefits from your various sources of buffs. If you're still not convinced Vault is the right frame for you, well, then I guess you've been playing Warframe for years already and there's nothing more I can teach you. But even so, maybe you've gained some newfound appreciation for this stalwart ancient warrior of bygone closed beta days. And if you're a new player and you're just about to make your choice and select your very first Warframe, then Vault will surely not fail you. Anyway, that's all from me. See you later.